Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is November 12th, 2020, and we have an extra special show today, really. First of all, I've loved doing Muscle Saves Lives for close to 10 years now. It's a really important show, and it really started out because I felt that the medical orthodoxy and most people think that the noble effort to build and maintain muscle was a selfish, narcissistic thing to do. And over the years, we know that muscle contributes a great deal of benefit metabolically. And finally, science is starting to catch up with what we knew in this audience 14 going on 15 years ago. But more importantly, the extrinsic effect of muscle allowing you to do things that save other people's lives. We've talked about people who've lifted stuff off of other people. We've talked about people who were able to withstand the ravages of cancer because they went into the illness so fit, so strong, and they maintained their muscles that when they kicked it, they went right back to normal life. Or these types of stories where someone was put in a situation where it would have killed perhaps any mere mortal, and it didn't. And that's going to be the story today with Olly Wood in just a moment. Olly will be joining us all the way from New Zealand, where it's already Friday morning. So I'm going to ask him for the lottery numbers now and hope to buy a ticket today and win tomorrow. But anyway, and then later in the show, we're giving away a $6,000 infrared sauna from Good Health Sauna to one lucky winner. We will announce that later in the show. So it's really a great show. I love this show. I love the theme of this show. Let's bring Olly Wood on and get him mic'd up. How you doing, Olly?
Hey, Carl. Yeah, doing well. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, and thank you for doing this today. So let's start at the very beginning, first of all, with you. So you're a personal trainer. You're a lover of physical culture. When did your love of physical culture begin for you?
Yeah, man. So I think it's always been there. Obviously through high school and uni. I think most of us were probably the more hyperactive type and couldn't sit still. So through high school, very early on, I was doing those triathlons and getting into just any sort of physical activity I could. And obviously with that, I noticed pretty quickly that, you couldn't just rock up on game day and get a good result. There had to be some sort of training there. So that was built in pretty quickly around sort of 14, 15. So obviously that was more the runs and the cycling and everything because we lived out in the country a bit more. But very early on, I noticed that started to improve my results, obviously, with the races in regards to triathlons at the time. From that, high school for me was boarding school, shipped over to the other side of the country. And that dove deeper into like rugby and rowing and a lot of these activities there. And I noticed with the rowing, right? I could do the rowing with the crew, and if I wanted to be better, what else could I add in, right? So again, it was noticing a very repetitive pattern like rowing. There's going to be muscle imbalances and tweaks and niggles here and there that come through pretty quickly, So getting into the weights and just starting to, typically you're doing your bicep curls and tricep push downs, and it's probably not going to help your rowing all that much, but it's fun anyway. But starting to add in a bit more of that resistance training and just bringing a base that I knew was helping the rowing and these other sports we were doing, right? So that was building me through the cruise. I was starting to get up to the top eights, and before the year that I was in that crew, starting to see the improvement in just doing that extra sweat equity outside of my normal sessions. That rowing became the main focus because I initially, and this will obviously tie into the crash down the line, but I dislocated my shoulders a couple of times through rowing, snowboarding, and everything in between. Probably came out about 6-7 times. So pretty early on, I realized that I was going to have to be relatively intelligent with my training. I couldn't just sling shit around. I had to make sure that I was contracting and building this balance and structural integrity back into how I was moving. So the weight training became a very big base of that, because more out of necessity, if I wanted to get back and be at a high level with my rowing. It certainly wasn't going to continue with the rugby, with everything continuing to break. And that became really the base. So, working with, diving in and working with mentors early on. I saw we had obviously John Meadows on the podcast not long ago, and worked closely with his team, as well as Ben Mikulski and a couple others, to really just get an awareness of that movement aspect of training, right? So make sure that, okay, I want to do this for a long time. I want to make sure my body is actually on my side. And that became a big part of intelligent training. And that's obviously what we use with a lot of our clients now, is this idea of, you don't want your body to hold you back. And you said that in the intro, is the reason we train is not necessarily just for our own necessity itself. It's because we want to show up as our best, and we don't want our body holding us back, right? So building that base and that strength is what really build that throughout. And obviously I've just continued on that path of making sure that stayed together, build that strength, build that base, and make sure whatever platform, whether that be in the business field or sporting, there was always that base of that weight training that allowed me to show up as my best, make sure I had that routine, I had that strength, and obviously that showed in all these other areas.
And now you actually train other people too now, right?
Yeah. So I was a personal trainer in a gym for a good 6.5, 7 years. Obviously built a very successful business up in Wellington, New Zealand, and I've been online for about the last 2.5 years. And we're coaching about 80, 90, probably 100 clients by the end of the year online here through New Zealand and Australia. So we do focus a lot more on that nutrition and gut health side of things as well. But, a big part as we dive into really getting these guys moving is obviously intelligent training methods, right? And a big part of that is making sure that you can stay strong and contract muscles, and make sure that you have the stability so that in your 50s, 60s, 70s plus, that stays together, right? We work with exclusively got men over 35, 40. So we want to make sure they're not jumping around doing burpees and push-ups the whole time and banging up their elbows. We want to know that they are actually contracting those muscles rather than the joints falling apart. So that has always been, what I learned through my own injury and kind of falling apart there has definitely been a big part working with our clients and knowing that, look, if you want to do this long time, you want your body to still feel and look great at 60, 70, then you need to make sure there's that base of resistance training.
Yeah, no, I know. And I can endorse what you just said. Being 62 now, I know that there's a lot of things that I have that my sheer ability to muscle through that I learned from heavy weightlifting is paying me in dividends now, because as you get older, I said something one day and somebody got really mad at me on Instagram. I said, don't ever take anti-aging advice from anyone under 50. And I didn't mean doctors. I meant there's a lot of these YouTube stars now. They're in their 20s and 30s and they're telling you about anti-aging. And it's absurd, because I thought that because I've hosted this show now going on 15 years, that I would be the one person that would never develop any type of ailments as I age. And whoa, am I wrong? But the beauty is that I am so used to lifting heavy stuff and managing stress and managing discomfort that I can still live my life at the fullest. Now, if I wasn't the guy I was for the past 20 years, I'd probably be taking, NSAIDs and complaining about my pains and complaining about this and about that. But there's such pleiotropic benefits from resistance training that go beyond anything anyone can even imagine. And as science goes on, we keep unraveling more and more and more of it. It's really something that, and sadly, throughout evolution, we didn't need an artificial exercise to move. We had to lift heavy stuff. We had to carry stuff. We had to hunt. We had to gather. We were moving. We didn't have luxurious homes where you just stayed home and sat on the sofa, watched movies and played on you only went into your home to sleep at night. The rest of the time you spent outdoors in the sunlight, by the way. And we're so far removed from what we were built for millions of years that it's astonishing that we've even survived this long, as far as I'm concerned. But
yeah, as soon as that's brought down, right? You're not hunting and gathering, you're not moving around. That's when you age much quicker, right? So if you're not having that constant challenge on the body, then good luck feeling good, because that's going to waste away pretty quick.
So you have lots of hobbies, right? So one of your hobbies is sport bike racing, right? You've got, what do you have? A Yamaha, a Kawasaki? What do you have?
Yeah, this one's I've been through plenty of bikes. Obviously, I think I've done every, trying to do every sport under the sun. I was the guy that through, again, like I said, through school, everything from triathlons to the rugby to the rowing to things like canoe polo and rock climbing, just to get out of homework time, right? You'd make sure you did everything.
Right.
So that's kind of continued, now being kind of moving through, just making sure there's always an activity there. So there's always been that base of weight training. To make sure that everything's strong, and I've kind of got that normal routine. But I think it's just having a challenge outside of that, right? So there'll always be some skiing, snow skiing, water skiing. Every year, being 105 kilos, that can sometimes take a little bit to be pulled out of the water, but we'll do it anyway. We'll do the mountain biking, we'll do the track racing around the track. There's kind of everything, right? That tends to move around a bit. I'm probably someone that just, I don't just put one toe in the water. I make sure it's fully in. And I've probably been through about 14 bikes in about 3 years, just swapping around, finding, what's going to really fit, both obviously on the road and track. Obviously with you saying you obviously into the biking as well, you can tell there's a difference between pushing a bike hard on the track and what you need it for on the road.
Yeah.
So going everything from full track race ZX10s to more roadworthy Super Dukes or something along those lines. So I was on a Suzuki GSSX S1000.
So when we talk about this type of racing, so I want the listeners to understand, top speed on straightaways in this type of racing can be as much as 280, 300 kilometers an hour, or miles an hour for those of us in the imperial world. So this is just an average day, right? How often do you take your bike down to the track and race?
Yeah, we probably get it in about 6, 7, maybe 8 times a year if we're lucky. This was just a track sort of fun day, so it's not a competitive as in
wasn't a competition race, right?
Yeah. But you're still going the same speeds, right? I'm still tracking my times on my phone. I'm still trying to get my lean angles on. I'm still trying to nail those corners. So everything was there, and on a bike that was very capable of those speeds you just mentioned. This track was a bit more of being New Zealand, they're not the massive tracks that you have over there. We're probably maybe maxing out about 220, 230 on the straights, Ks and kilometers per hour. But again, obviously speeds to break things for sure.
Okay. So this was just an average day. The weather wasn't inclement, right? It was good weather, sunny day.
Yeah.
Sunny day. And you're just getting in and going to do what you always do. There was nothing, no premonition. There was nothing that you said, wow, today may be a bad day. You're just out there cruising around, having a great time, right?
Yeah. It was first time with that bike on the track. Again, these Suzukis, this particular bike is being built out from the what was supposed to be a really well-renowned 2005, 2006 race engine. So very, very capable on the straights. Had a ton of power, but obviously, as you may know, with the Suzukis, they've got all the power in the world, but they tend to make this bike in particular, they're going to cheap out on a couple parts. And obviously, you've still got Brembo brakes, you've still got a couple of things in there, but things like the brake lines, things like the suspension are made for the road, right? So unless you start to spend another couple grand on brakes and suspension, which I hadn't done because, again, I was just a fun day. It wasn't a full race day.
Right.
We were just pushing that bike hard, and obviously being around about 105 kilos, being a very warm, it was a perfect day in regards to racing. Essentially what happens is if that brake fluid is not always updated, you probably want to update it every 2 track days. And unfortunately, because that rubber in the brake lines is made for road only, that stuff starts to flex and bend, and the oil starts to heat up, right? So what is supposed to be brake fade, and you start to notice that things would start to, notice a brake kind of going spongy. You'd start to notice that coming through. It sort of went from one corner being 100% there, things going great. I was hitting some really good track times, to coming down one of the main straights around about that 200k an hour, which is around 120 miles per hour.
Right.
Just hit the corner. As you know, with bikes, they're pretty light. You brake as late as possible, so you're pretty much at the corner. And then I realized that there's no brakes, right? So you've got probably about 2 meters of track left. Then you've got some kiddie litter, which should dump the bike if you have any front brakes, but because I didn't, I had about 10 seconds to kind of decide what was my next steps. Going that sort of speed towards a wall with no brakes in itself is going to be pretty scary. but what I really was able to do, and I don't know really where that came through, but it was kind of straight away, it's pretty obvious you have two choices, right? Like one, you're going to hit the wall, see what sort of happens that way, or two, you're going to try and jump yourself off the bike at 200k an hour. Either way didn't sound all that attractive, but I did have enough time to, press on that back brake, drop down. I think I had one gear left, so that managed to get a couple Ks off me. But essentially, we're going, about 100, 110 miles per hour into a wall. Luckily, what I didn't know at the time, obviously going that speed, I thought it was concrete, but it was sort of 3 rows of tires. So that did collect the bike up quite nicely. But what I did is obviously at the very last second, I actually jumped up to make sure that I wasn't hitting that wall with the bike, which probably would have broken both my legs and all sorts of other things. So what happened next is obviously I'd blacked out. I didn't. I woke up in that position on the ground. What I later found out was about 100 feet horizontally and 26 feet vertically. So a fair old jump. Right. And if you've seen the photos, obviously on my Instagram, that was cleared the tire wall, cleared a full hill. There was a ditch.
Yeah, you went right over an embankment and then down the hill was where you
landed. Yeah. So that was up and over. Yeah. So
while linearly it was like 30 yards from where you hit the wall, it was much further when you consider that you went in an arc and then down below the track, because the track is up here and you landed on the outside of the track down on the ground, which you would have to expect. So, okay, before I get there, so you were pretty much laying the bike down at that point in time, right? The wheels were facing the embankment and you're riding the bike back here, right? And so then you leap up, the bike hits the wall and you just keep on going, which was brilliant in my opinion, because if you would have stayed on the bike, you definitely would have gotten hurt more because the bike would have become a projectile against your body at some point in time. But you were in that leaning position at that point in time. So I
was upright. Yeah, I was upright. So obviously what I was doing is before you dump the bike into the corner, obviously you'd apply the brake and then sort of roll everything in. I hadn't quite got to that point because there was no brakes, right? So I was still going straight forward. There was very little braking or, probably only lost 20 miles an hour off the bike before it hit the wall.
Okay. So you fly over this hill, you land down in this. So you remember up to the point where you're leaping off the bike, or do you just remember up to the point where the bike looks like it's going to hit the tires?
Yeah, just as the bike's about to hit the tires. So, going back, and the guy told me the bike itself, again, amazingly, the bike hasn't ended up all that bad because luckily there was 3 rows of tires. I just had my parts arrive the other day. Right. Put the bike back together, would be good to go. But, there was obviously the front forks were twisted round, the handlebars had been flipped forward. So obviously I still hit the handlebars with my legs.
Yeah.
It was enough that I rotated over. Yeah. So yeah, it was a good 100 feet is obviously a fair distance, but the big thing there, and this is obviously not something I could ever calculate, was because that was this big embankment or this hill down into a ditch. Then there was this barbed wire fence, and then there was probably another 20, 30 feet till I landed. But about 5, 10 feet further than that was the road, on the other side of the track, right? These are cars going past there, right? So that was sort of very much a luck factor. I probably couldn't calculate that into the equation, but that was very much, either way, 10 feet either way would have been game over.
Yeah, you would have landed in front of moving traffic at that point in time. Yeah. Wow. So you passed out because of the sheer shock of what was happening at this point in time, right? Your body goes into that protection mode. When do you wake up?
Yeah, so I wake up on my back. I don't even know how I got there. Obviously on the ground. Obviously, the initial when you jump that far, it's obviously a massive amount of winding. So the kind of expectation that your lungs have collapsed. But obviously, once that's all sort of come to light, it's going through that general body scan, right? So being, and I think that comes back to the weight training at some level as well, right? Like you're very aware of every muscle in your body. You know how to contract it individually, right? So when that comes to bringing that awareness to what's broken, it's like, okay, start, everything's there, everything's working, but I feel, obviously the shoulder was something that was going on there, and once I was able to breathe properly, I sort of looked over at my left, expect my hand to be at sort of 90 degrees up here, and it was down there. So there was a mixture in that proprioception was not really there, right? So trying to sort of lift that back into range, just came to the shoulder. And obviously that was really the only result. There's some minor fractures in the scapula. Initially, I thought I'd fractured the whole scapula just from obviously landing on it. I've still got a little bit of bruising down my ribs. I'm sure I broke, or at least massively bruised them, and dislocated the shoulder. So, overall, there was fairly little damage in there. And like I said before, because I dislocated my shoulder so many times in the past and obviously had surgery on that, that was probably less stable, right? As you know, it's that shoulder's in pretty much a golf tee of a joint. So there's not a huge amount of stability there anyway. And if you dislocate that, that's going to come back out. So outside of that, maybe if I hadn't dislocated the shoulder in the past, maybe that would have stayed in and that was it. But, obviously I had 2 or 3 guys riding behind me, chasing me down the track. They saw me go over the wall and they were running over the hill in their leathers, which if you've ever been in a full set of race leathers is not made for running. But they managed to meet me over there and because just a year earlier, someone had actually died doing exactly what I'd done, right?
Really?
Gone over that track in intensive care for 2 or 3 days and then died in hospital. So obviously it was all a pretty major situation, and even now you can probably tell I'm pretty light about it all. I literally just didn't think about it for 2 weeks, and I was sitting in bed with my partner the other day, and I said to her, that was actually a pretty big crash. That was pretty huge, and I think for me, I kind of just got on with it. Even in the situation, you're like, right, well, this is just a pain in the butt. I want to kind of get back to it. But when the ambulance and everything came over, it was basically like, do not move. We're going to put your neck in a brace. Can you feel your legs? Like that's something that you literally, you shouldn't even be talking to me. How can you feel these muscles, right? And I was like, dude, my neck's fine. Can I see where I've landed? Again, I was still very, jokey at the time. I was like, well, I'm in a neck brace now, and that's not very convenient if I want to have a little look around.
Right.
So,
right.
They were very much like checking everything. Everything was out, and obviously had to cut off my jacket and feel out every part of my body to make sure it was still there. But
they had to cut your jacket off?
Yeah. Just because I dislocated my shoulder. They did give me the choice, but I was like, it's not going to happen.
I was going to say, it's got to be an expensive leather jacket that they're cutting off.
Yeah, and obviously the helmet and everything else was top of the line. There's kind of cracks and everything through that, so that'll obviously need to be replaced. But yeah, it was really just that awareness of like, how are you still talking? And then second of all, how can you feel all those limbs, right? So that was sort of that breakdown.
So when you did contemplate this, like you said a couple of weeks ago, you were thinking about it. Did you all of a sudden become overwhelmed with emotion? Like you could have, 10 feet this way, you're run over by a bunch of cars, 10 feet this way, you're spam because you're going to hit barbed wire going, who knows how many miles an hour. Have you actually thought about it where you thought to yourself, man, like I could have died? Yeah,
well, exactly. That was pretty much it, and it was funny enough, it was around the same time you sort of reached out, where I was really talking, and as obviously I put that post up, was this idea of how different of that outcome could it have been, right? If I wasn't in a strong, fit, relatively muscular position, if I was not really working on that awareness or quick thinking, if whatever else, right? And knowing that those aspects sort of played a part in it, and overall just out of sheer luck, having that ability to walk out of that, even if it was holding a shoulder in a sling, is a pretty good outcome.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about the fact that your lifelong love of physical culture, your conditioning, and your muscularity actually contributed to you surviving this, and even your physician thinks so as well. We're going to do this. We're talking today with Olly Wood. You can find them on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle, Olly?
Olly Wood, so Olly Wood at so Olly Wood NZ.
NZ, yeah. Olly Wood NZ for New Zealand. It's funny, every time I type your name this morning, it wants to make it Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood on it. That's pretty funny. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Muscle Saves Lives. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration. at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today.
Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today. New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at Synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
So I forgot to say this at the beginning of the show. I start every show by saying this. We have to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods. Legendary Foods makes the best nut butters, seasoned almonds, as well as their tasty pastry, which is basically a Pop-Tart with less than 1 gram of sugar. Their new Hot Fudge Sundae Pop-Tart tasty pastry has 0 sugar and 15 grams of high leucine, high quality protein. Tastes just like a Pop-Tart. You can buy them for your kids. They won't know the difference. Take them out of the package, eat them raw, or toast them. They taste delicious. Go to eatlegendary.com. Use the code SHR10 to save not only 10% off, but let them know that you heard about them here on Superhuman Radio. We're talking right now with Olly Wood, all the way from New Zealand. And Olly is a stellar example of how muscle saves lives. So now let's get down to the bread and butter. So they whisk you off in an ambulance. They take you to the ER, most likely. They start to triage you. They're looking for broken something. Okay, you have a dislocated shoulder, but this is a shoulder that's given you problems for a long time. So it's not unforeseen that this could happen to the shoulder. But they're checking everything else, right? Your neck, fine. You know, you say you had a bruise on your ribs, and maybe you fractured some ribs, but no broken legs, no broken arms, nothing of real consequence. Is that correct?
Yep, they went through all the scans. They did all the things to find out if anything was broken. It was all pretty well in nick.
And so did you hear from people in the ER, like, I can't believe that you're not hurt?
Yeah, so having a good chat to the guy afterwards, obviously the main doctor, I was sort of walking around the hospital being like, well, doc, can I go home now? He's like, dude, you should be in bed for days, like what's going on? And I managed to find my phone and I was at the time, kind of bored. So I was like, hey, doc, have a look at the photos. Like, this is where I landed, because obviously he's only seen me come in, seen what's happened, heard what happened. But I sort of showed him how far we'd gone. He's like, mate, that is absolutely insane. Like, I don't know how you're in the state that you are. We've had a lot of clients or a lot of patients come in from that track and a lot less, a lot worse condition from you doing half that distance, half that speed.
Are you a spiritual person? Are you a religious person, Olly?
I'm not, no.
Neither am I. I'm just curious, because a lot of spiritual people or religious people would say, well, God had his hand on you, or you have a purpose in life. But those of us who spend our lives maintaining our temple, patching it when it's broken and upgrading it when we feel like we have the time and the desire to, we learned that our bodies are really a lot stronger than the modern population thinks it is, because most people are really borderline frail, if nothing else. Did the doctor, then I'm sure you had to go for follow-up visits, right? So you're released from hospital, you go back to your normal GP at that point in time?
Yeah, so we had a bit of a family domestic there, because I was essentially like, look, I want to go home. Is that all right? And they're like, well, I'm going to have to go. And the doctors told my family that I can't be picked up. My partner doesn't drive. So it's literally the whole, like, got to get my mum to come pick me up. And she's like, well, you've just done this distance. I don't believe how you're still in one nick. And I need to, from concussions or anything that's going to be, internal bleeding, or there must be something wrong with you, right? So well, I actually had to stay there.
Well, if you stay here long enough, we'll find something wrong with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
A little time.
Yeah. So obviously they left in the painkiller needle in my arm, and they, asked me for all these different drugs. And I was like, just as soon as I can get off the shit you've got me on, I'm going to feel terrible for a couple of hours, and then I'll just work through the pain. Obviously, you've got those horrendous beds in the hospital ward, so obviously you had to stay the night. But that was just, if anything, I actually managed to keep my Aura ring on, so I could tell how bad that sleep was.
Yeah, I know.
And
they wake you up. What's the craziest thing? Sleep is probably the most important thing for recovery, but they wake you up every hour on the hour when you're in the hospital. They completely destroy your sleep, and then they go, "Oh, you're not getting better." Well, let me sleep a couple nights and let's see what happens.
Yeah, every part of that, like I personally stay away from a hospital every occasion I can. Obviously, when I do a crash like this, I probably can't. But that just keeps showing over and over, right? Like it was nothing to do with food. It was nothing to do with sleep. I was in a room that was constantly bright with shit lights and stuff around, and constantly being woken up. And then, in regards to the food you get, they gave me whatever was a half dismal meal, and then if you wanted extra, you got these, really, really cheap, white bread sandwiches that had nothing in them but like a piece of butter. It was like, well, I might as well I'll just fast for the afternoon if that's okay. And in the morning, it's the same process, right? We've literally got a treats trolley coming out with two lovely ladies who say these things are going to make you feel better. And then they're filled with Cokes and sugars and all this stuff. I'm like, that's the reason these guys are in here.
I want to stop for a second, because this cannot be overstated. Hospitals serve people foods that make people sick while they're trying to recover from things like surgeries. I had to have my foot surgery. I had to have foot surgery twice a couple years ago. And the second time they had me come into the hospital for preparation, they sent me home with 4 cans of a drink that they wanted me to drink the night before at bedtime and the morning of the surgery. Each of these cans had 46 grams of sugar in them. And of course, I didn't do it. I fasted from the night before to the next morning, and the surgery went great. And I said to them, why do you give this to people? And I'm going to tell you what it really is. What they told me is basically people are too metabolically inflexible to not eat before surgery. Yeah. And they have all sorts of problems related to metabolic derangement. And like, I'm metabolically flexible. I can fast for 32 hours and train legs if I have to. So I didn't use it. But hospitals give people foods, hospital food will make you sicker. It will cause your body to become so inflamed that it will take a fire department, and then they wonder why you're not getting better. It just anyway. I'll get off that, but it's staggering to me. It really is.
Yeah,
really.
no, I go down that route all the time. Obviously, you've got to be careful with what you say, but it's, at the end of the day, we can keep it pretty simple. Like, obviously, doctors are trained to look for disease, and if things are broken, then there's a level of medical intervention that would be helpful. But we do this when we look at blood work for our clients as well, right? Like, there's an optimal range that comes down to lifestyle and nutrition majority of the time, and that's the range that when they're working. And then you've been told by doctors that you're great, but now your liver, your renal markers, your thyroid are way out. And it's because unless they give you whatever drug is correct at the time, then there's not much they can do, right? And at the end of the day, they're not nutritionists. They're not experts in that field. And that's where that fine line sort of comes in. It's like, well, unless I can give you a drug for it, then you're fine. And I think it's a two-way thing. I think as with most of the population, there's a lack of confidence in knowing they'll actually follow through on the prescription you give them. But knowing that there is that gap and at least having that opportunity to succeed without having to bring in those interventions would be a massive part of that, right? So I obviously work with that a lot with our clients, and we battle that line a lot. But when it comes back to what's happening in the hospital ward, you see that just day to day. It's just it's a drug industry, and it's got nothing to do in between. And if I'm going to improve from this injury, if I want to actually get better, I need a full night's sleep. I need to I need to get that inflammation down, and I need to have foods that are actually going to fuel my body, right? So having really low quality bread with very high quality ham in it is not exactly going to be the best breakfast for me to move forward, right? They come in with they're trying. I guess this is a conversation I had where what they're trying to do is emulate what you do at home. But the reason you're in the hospital is because what you did at home is what it is, Yeah. So they're bringing in the yogurts, they're bringing in the ice cream, they're bringing in all these things to make you feel better, when the last thing it's going to do is actually improve how you feel.
I know. So you go to your GP as a follow-up, right? What's that first visit like? What does he say? What does he notice?
Complete waste of time. Obviously, now that I know what blood work and what markers they're looking at, the one thing, you'll probably laugh at this, the one thing they were looking at was the creatinine levels. And I was like, well, of course, doc, I bloody train every day. Of course, that's going to be a little high, right? So that was, the amount of times I've run into that issue of, you need to take some time off training, or you need to drink some more water, or whatever it was. And I was like, I trained legs yesterday. That's why there's some muscle breakdown. Like, it's all good. Everything else, obviously, from there was fine. So that was a pretty short visit and waste of time. The surgery appointment was supposed to be as of a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know what it's like over there. But in New Zealand, it's a bit of a hassle getting in for an MRI unless that joint's sort of falling off, So I still haven't had the MRI yet. I've had the initial X-ray and a CT scan to make sure bones and all that were in place. There was a couple of chips and cracks that need to be improved, but from a tendon level, that's kind of what I need to know, right? From because I had surgery in the past, I'd reattached those ligaments. It needed to make sure I sort of stabilized that shoulder. And for me, it was like, just how can I get back to normal as quickly as possible, right? With that coming through surgery or not, I just need to know that answer. What happens next is you go in and you waste 4 hours in a orthopedic ward to tell you what you sort of already know. They give you a new sling and tell you to go home. And then I had a surgery appointment with a surgeon last week, which I cancelled before I went to it because I still haven't had the MRI. So you're going to tell me, you're going to walk in there only holding a hammer and say everything looks like a nail, right? Like it's going to need surgery. Well, like there's going to be a difference between yes, I can do surgery and yes, I should do surgery, right? Just opening up for the sake of it is not a reason to go under the knife. So I'm still waiting on the MRI to see how things go. But really, my rehab started from day one. I haven't bothered with physios. I haven't bothered with anything there because I've been through that process enough times. And obviously, being in that physical.
Well, and as a personal trainer, you probably have better insights in how to rehab a joint than they do.
Yeah, well, it comes back to, are we going to isolate what's happening at a shoulder, or are we going to systemically look at how that affects the body, right? There's scapular motion, there's bicep and tricep that I can move. It looked like I'd torn my bicep, right? Because it was completely purple. All that blood obviously flows down the line. So it looked like that full bicep was gone. So really for me, it was just a case of I start shoving my hand against the wall with the internal external rotation, see what I've got there. That sort of took a week. I started going back in the gym and just, it was literally training legs 4 or 5 times a week, which was good fun. My legs blew up in 2 weeks. That was actually quite a nice experiment. And then as I went from there, I started to bring in just a single one-arm dumbbell curl on a high incline preacher bench. And, my progression there was simply from my, what was the lightest thing in the gym? It was my 1 liter drink bottle. So going through that and just, really passively going through that or slowly going through that range, obviously noticing that stability in the front of the delt, and obviously where the bicep attaches is obviously going to aggravate things. But it's just that constant process, right? Like the man that's at home sitting in front of the couch rather than actually exercising, he's gonna lose that muscle. He's going to lose that conditioning. If I'm not challenging that body, at least putting it under some sort of strain, then there's no reason that it's going to heal. So I was just finding every range that I could at least contract something, everything that I can move, and just build that back up. So in the space of 2 weeks, I went from barely being able to lift a drink bottle to get back to 10 kilo, and it's amazing how quickly your bicep shrinks and then it actually comes back. So that was obviously, I knew that obviously it makes sense with how those muscles work, but from actually seeing it shrink and then grow in 2 weeks was quite interesting. So really at this point now, it's just a case of getting back to some sort of front range. I've probably got about 30 degrees of lift forward, and now it's a case of just building back that internal external rotation and seeing what I can do by the time I get my arm up here. So obviously that's still without getting an MRI, but I've got a pretty good idea of that stability factor. If it is a case of reattaching a ligament, then that's cool. But what I can do day to day is now, back to a reasonable range, because I've managed to get in the rows, I've managed to get the bicep curls, tricep extensions, and generally just get that function back because I challenged the body and got back to that level of structural strength and contraction that I knew would help.
I want to take our last break, and when we come back, I just want to focus on the fact that in this case, had you not had the muscle that you have worked so hard your entire life, you probably would have been severely injured, maybe crippled, and possibly dead. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Hollywood. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? The rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest, so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today. Want to improve mental energy and focus? Try the new Superhuman Stack from Pure Nootropics. Stack Dynamine, Salbutamine, Theocrine, and palmitoyl ethanolamide together and feel the lights go on in your brain. Find your perfect mix of these 4. Carl likes 1 cap of each and 2 caps of Dynamine. Bam! Lights on. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Superhuman Stack, all one word, today, and get yours for 25% off plus free shipping. That's shrnetwork.biz/Superhuman Stack.
If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee me, it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Stay tuned because at the top of the hour, we're going to announce the winner of the $6,000 Good Health Sauna giveaway. And it's pretty exciting. I mean, this is a really wonderful thing to receive. Olly, are you a fan of infrared sauna?
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit in the process of recovery. Actually, I've not a huge amount around here, but we've just with a couple of acupuncture sessions and stuff, we had that infrared sauna over. It's been quite good.
Yeah, and this one is a 3-person sauna. It has a very small footprint. It fits in the corner of a room. So somebody will have a sauna right in their home that they can use every day. I have one. I love it. I get in the sauna almost every day.
I'd be very appreciative if you sent one over. That'd be fun.
Yeah, well, look, the guys from Good Health Sauna, maybe they need to expand to New Zealand. If they're listening, Erik Kralovitz is in the green room right now, standing by to come on. Maybe he needs to reach out to you. You have the connections there. So there you go. Anyway.
Well, I've done that. Obviously, I've gone down that full dive with the Olly pads and the Aura rings and all these things, right? And shipping to New Zealand is always the biggest expense.
I know. It is. So, in summary, the doctor at the ER said he can't believe you're alive. Did any of them say to you, had you not had the muscle you carry to actually absorb the shock of being thrown from 100-mile-an-hour spill on a motorcycle over a hill down an embankment, like you probably would at least be crippled or not alive today? Did they say those things to you?
Yeah, there was plenty of variations of that, right? Whether that was through the luck, through the structure, through how you're walking, it was variations of that. Yeah.
And this is why I do these shows, because those of us who spend time in the noble pursuit of building muscle, I do it because I don't want to be in my 70s and in a wheelchair, or in my 70s and have to tell Elisa, no, we can't go to Europe because I really can't walk very far, or sure, we can go, but you'll have to push me in a wheelchair. I want to be able to ambulate on my own. I want to be able to lift things. I want to be able to, we just bought a bigger home and it's got stairs. Now listen to this. I'm 62. I have a lot of friends that are my age are like, we're buying smaller homes that are 1 story. Like, we don't want to have to go up and down stairs. I'm like, why? If you stop going up and down stairs, guess what? You lose the ability to go up and down stairs.
Yeah.
So, I do it because I always want to be in full gear of life. And that, and obviously now that's why you do it too. I think because there's that level of injury that's obviously been there, and I've been through a fair few things. But as you mentioned earlier, it's not like I'm over 50. Like a lot of the clients that we work with are in that same situation, and obviously we're sort of living through what's happening there. Very much the way they're moving. That's what we're seeing all the time, right? You get their shoulder range and they're getting to like here. They can't even get their arm over the head, or their range of their hips is gone. They're constantly tight through their hamstrings and their back. And it becomes this continual process of active release or needing outside help in order to move or get back to mobility. Whereas what you've just said, right, this level of contraction and weight training is building back that level of control.
And as we were talking about with the metabolic flexibility, like your ability to actually use both those nutrients, being able to have that ability to go 4 or 5 hours without food and still be functioning. I think it's the same thing on the strength curve side of things, right? Like if you're always sitting on your butt, or you're only ever walking, and you call that exercise, it's good as a cardiovascular. You're getting that blood flow, but you're not getting that level of contraction through range, right? So we're not getting full extension of the hip. That gait pattern just gets smaller and smaller. And it's that strength aspect that's missing in keeping that function in your 60s and 70s, right? And I think that's the difference, right? It's not the age of the car, it's the amount of Ks on it. And it's just trying to make sure that you build that level of control, and you're actually redoing that oil. You're redoing what needs to happen to keep that life of the vehicle there. That's going to make the difference between 200,000 Ks and 400,000 Ks, and that's really where that base comes in with a lot of our clients. And I guess the main focus there is just bringing it back to that awareness of, if we don't have strength in those ranges, whether it be through massive injury or whether it's just those little aches and niggles that you get on a day-to-day basis, if you're not doing that resistance training to keep a base, then you're going to notice that just keeps reoccurring.
So did I hear you say you were back on the bike the other day, this particular bike?
I've been on the mountain bike. I haven't been on the road bike yet.
Okay. So do you have any second thoughts about taking it around the racetrack again?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There'll definitely be a lack of trust in those brakes for a while. I am going to get some braided brake lines, obviously update the oil in it and all the stuff I probably should have done before the track day. But that'll just be a case of comfortability, I guess. For me, my track racing is never going to be a competitive sport. As you'll know, with every guy on the track, he's about 65 kilos and skin and bone. Hence why they probably crunch a little bit more, but that's not going to be a competitive sport. It's just good fun. So I'm actually going to go back up the track next month. My main goal is to be able to make sure I can get both hands on the steering wheel, and I'll be doing it in the car. But really, that's just that, I guess, the adrenaline side from a speed standpoint. I can do it on 4 wheels if I can do it on 2. So I'll build that back up. The question whether I get that back on the track with mountain bike on the motorbike will be we'll see.
Yeah. What about the car? What kind of car are you going to race?
Just I got a BMW 335i that got tuned. So it's still got a fair amount of power in there, but it'll depend on the brakes and suspension to see how fun that will be.
Yeah, because that's the thing about that. A lot of these cars go fast straight, but when you try to go fast around turns, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Olly, I want to thank you so much, first of all, for doing the show so early in the morning, Friday morning in New Zealand. Can you give me the lottery numbers now so I can bet this today, and I'll put the money with you? But I think that your story is an important one. I think all these stories where muscle actually contributed, to save a life, whether it's the person who carries the muscle or they helped somebody, is important, because we need more people in society to pay attention to the fact that muscle is metabolic currency. And I the first 2 years I did this show, 2005 and 2006, I used to close every show by saying muscle is metabolic currency. So get into the gym and make a deposit today. It's just like money. It's just like you save money for your old age. You better save muscle for your old age too. You'll have a better end to your life if you focus on building muscle. And I appreciate you coming on the show today and telling us your story. And I'm glad you're okay. And I hope that once you get the right brake lines, the right brake fluid, you said you have Brembos, right? You have Brembos on there, right? Okay. Yeah. That maybe you'll take it for a stroll around the track a couple of times before you just say, I'm done with this. Just to know that you can. Thank you very much for being here, Olly.
No, thank you, Cal. Obviously, the big part there, I think, that you're saying is in regards to the it's saving lives, but as you're saying on the day-to-day basis, it's simply improving the quality of your life as well, right? So it's not just the massive occasions where it does save that broken bone, but the day-to-day of just having that currency, you're putting in those deposits for that metabolic currency, then that's building that day-to-day. And what hopefully everyone on this podcast is doing is at least getting that structure to build in some weight training, 3-4 times a week. And what that does to your ability to just show up better in the world is going to be more than worth it, right? In itself, without even the physical component to it.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Thanks, Olly. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
All right. So we're going to take one quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to announce the winner of the Good Health Sauna drawing. So stay tuned. Stay with me. We'll be right back. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today.
Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back to Superhuman Radio. We're joined by Erik Kralovitz from Good Health Sauna. How you doing, Erik?
I'm doing good, Carl. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, so today's a very exciting day. So we started a couple months ago, I want to say, with a sauna drawing. Interesting phenomenon. We literally got like 30,000 people who clicked through, but a large percentage of them didn't sign up. And Natalie and I talked about it, and we realized that we think that people just don't feel like they have the room for a sauna like this in their home. So this is a 3-person sauna, and it actually has a smaller footprint than a two-person sauna because it fits in the corner of a room, right?
Yeah, it takes advantage of the void space. So, where people don't really utilize that often.
So how much space does it like from its widest to its and to its depth and width? How large is this box? Let's call it a box for now.
Yeah, so if you measure it from the corner, it's 5 feet off the corner in both directions and 75 inches tall. So one of the things that surprised me, because this is the model that I have in my house. I have the corner unit, and it's a 3-person sauna. It's the only corner model that we make. But when I was a customer first, when I had Good Health Saunas come, when I bought my sauna, and I installed it in the house, I was impressed at how much space I thought, because I was figuring I had a bar just in front of my sauna, and I figured the door, when I would open the door all the way open wide, it would touch the bar. But once I installed it in the house and I actually was looking at how much space I have in between the front wall of the sauna and the bar, I had like 5 feet. It didn't even come close to it. So I was really impressed because like we said, we're taking advantage of that void space that people just don't use.
So how is this going to be shipped? This is going to be shipped over by truck, right? It comes in pieces, right?
Correct. So we ship it using freight, and it gets delivered to your house. It's on a pallet, and it's all packaged up in boxes. The 3-person corner is 3 separate boxes, and it's packaged up. It's shrink wrapped together, all nice and tight and clean. And what people do is when they sign for the sauna and it gets dropped off at their house, you start taking it apart one piece at a time. So you bring in the floor first, and you put the floor where you want it. Then you bring in the back wall, bring that in, and put it.
And it just drops in place, right? It just snaps in place, right?
Yes. You just snap all the walls together. The top just sits on top with gravity. You just plug the heaters in together, which is very simple and self-explanatory, and it's just buckles and latches. I mean, you could not screw it up. I get people all the time that say, I'm not mechanically inclined. My husband he can't put things together. And I tell him, I'm telling you, you cannot screw this up. You can't. It's extremely simple. It's extremely easy, and it really doesn't take up much space in your house.
And you guys have the best customer service in the industry, bar none, which means that if somebody has a question, they call and they get the answers right there and then, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have the best warranty, lifetime warranty in the industry. It never expires. I've never heard of an incident where if a customer had some sort of question or a problem that it wasn't solved quickly and efficiently and answered correctly. It just doesn't happen. That's one of the things that the owner is so, and everybody that's part of Good Health Saunas is so. We want to make sure all the customers are happy and that they have a good experience. That way they can enjoy their sauna, and they can improve their health and refer it to their family and friends. And we take our reputation extremely seriously, just like anybody does. But like you, Carl, everybody. We're going to make sure that you have your sauna, it's working properly, and you're a happy customer. That way you can benefit from it, and you can refer us to family and friends.
Now, do you have the name of the winner in front of you by any chance?
I can bring it up. I got it right here.
It's crazy. I know her last name is April.
April
Solis. April Solis is the winner, and we have a nice little brief video from her. Let's just get this up here real quick.
I just wanted to say I'm really happy that I won this. I will be using it a lot. Just wanted to say thank you, and I'm very excited.
There you go.
Awesome.
So April Solis is the winner, and when can she expect to get her sauna? I know Dan is going to get you all of her shipping information or everything today. When can she expect to get her sauna, you think?
Normally it takes about a week to a week and a half, but right now it'll probably take about 2 weeks. She'll get it in 2 weeks.
Because of COVID and all that?
Yeah. Do you know where she's located at all? I didn't see the information on there.
No, I don't. But Dan Kapitsky is going to email you today and get you her address and everything. But two weeks. I mean, assuming she lives, because you guys are in Milwaukee, right? Are you in Milwaukee?
Yeah, we're just outside of Milwaukee, Waukesha County, which is one county west of Milwaukee. But we got warehouses in Buffalo, New York, Minnesota, down in Denver, and also in Florida. So it could, depending where she is, it should get there.
Yeah, she'll probably get it in 2 weeks or so. So April Solis is the proud winner of the almost $6,000 value 3-person corner sauna, far infrared. This is near infrared or far infrared? This is near infrared, right?
It's full spectrum. So
full spectrum. Oh wow, that's even better.
Yes, you get all the benefits of all the spectrums.
Yes, sauna that she will have in her home, and she'll be able to take it with her wherever she lives. And very, very exciting. And I want to thank Good Health Saunas for being so generous to do this for someone in the audience. I really appreciate this because I love mine. I love my sauna. I use it all the time. I use it almost daily. And I always sleep better when I use it in the evening. Isn't that fun?
There's no downside to it. And I like to call it I like to say the gambler scene. It's a free roll. Nothing bad's going to happen. You can only have positive things that happen to you, your health, your mindset, your life. There's no contraindications. There's no side effects. The only thing is if you dehydrated yourself, but nobody dehydrates themselves because you're thirsty. When you're thirsty, you drink water. So
right.
The health benefits, you feel a lot better. It's something that everybody should have part of their routine, whether you're just starting to get into health and wellness and just starting to take care of yourself better, or if you're already living a very healthy lifestyle, you can only benefit and have positive experiences from using our infrared sauna on a daily, regular basis.
Yeah. So there you go. April Solis is the winner. She'll probably get her sauna within a couple of weeks, and hopefully she'll send us a picture of it once it's installed in our home so we can use it for social media. And Erik, thank you guys for their Good Health Sauna. It's a pleasure having you guys as a sponsor. We love the product, and we know how important this is to the quality of health for people. So we like to promote the Good Health Sauna. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Carl. I always appreciate you having me on.
And we'll talk soon. We'll talk soon. Take care. All right. So that's it for today's show. I'm off the air tomorrow. I'm happy. We're getting ready to move. Boy, moving is a big job. Lots of stuff to move. So next week, I think Thursday and Friday, I think we're going to probably have to be off the air too, because I think I'm moving on Thursday and Friday. But of course, share the show. I ask people all the time to share the show. Help us grow, share the show, and have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday with more Superhuman Radio.